Next on the news.
Today, I'm announcing the United States is targeting the main artery of Russia's economy.
President Biden says this will deal a powerful blow to the Putin war machine. And we'll talk to the local mayor who traveled to the Ukrainian border and is there to help the refugees flooding into Poland. Plus this.
It was a decision the owner of this food and grocery store says was necessary in the face of war. I'm Jessica Easthope with this Brooklyn Business's Bold Move coming up.
And is blood flowing from the statue of St. Michael because of what's happening in Ukraine? The church is on the case. And they call it the Church of Dirt, how riding dirt bikes is bringing parishioners closer to Christ. I'm Christine Persichetti. Current News starts right now. The pressure on Moscow is escalating. President Biden dealing another, perhaps the most crushing financial blow to Russia for invading Ukraine. The U.S. is banning Russian oil, natural gas, and coal imports. But how will this impact Americans filling up at the gas pump? Our coverage begins with Isabel Rosales in Washington.
The U.S. is stepping up sanctions against Russia. This time, an all-out full ban on Russian oil, natural gas, and coal imports.
This is a step that we're taking to inflict further pain on Putin, but there will be cost as well here in the United States.
On Tuesday, President Biden announcing the latest crackdown on Moscow, hoping to force President Putin to pull back its escalating attack on Ukraine.
I'm going to do everything I can to minimize Putin's price hike here at home.
The announcement comes after growing calls from Ukraine for allies to ban Russian energy imports. The U.S. ban does not include European allies. Experts say the move could be more effective if EU allies took part. But unlike the U.S., Europe relies heavily on energy imported from Russia.
Compared to the EU, which imports about 4.5 million barrels of Russian crude oil, the U.S. is relatively safe without Russian imports.
The U.S. could replace the relatively small amount of fuel it gets from Russia with other imports, including from the Middle East. But there could be consequences. The ban could send already skyrocketing oil and gas prices even higher, impacting consumers at the pump.
That will have a short-term effect, and gas prices are going to continue going up as a result of that. We are now looking at $4.19 a gallon.
The Biden administration was facing growing pressure from both Republicans and Democrats to impose further sanctions on Russia.
Anything we can do right now to limit Russia's ability to raise funds, we need to be doing.
In Washington, I'm Isabel Rosales.
Prices at the pump are already really high. New York City is currently averaging $4.39 per gallon. That's almost 20 cents higher than the national average, and it's 60 cents higher than when Russia invaded Ukraine, when the city's average was at just $3.80 a gallon. One Brooklyn business is putting a face of anti-war to a name. The Brighton Beach store that sells Eastern European food and delicacies recently made the decision to take its sign down. It had Russia in its name and felt it was time to be free of it and focus on food. Current News' Jessica Easthope has the story.
Beneath the rumble of the L train, this row of colorful storefront awnings stops here. Customers know it only now as their favorite spot. They go there to find great food and common ground. But officially, it's nameless.
Being that we're in the midst of the Russian community, we just felt very, very uncomfortable with the name. We're against the war. We just feel very, very bad what's going on in the Ukraine.
Until recently, the store was called Taste of Russia, and it's in the heart of Brooklyn's Brighton Beach, home to hundreds of thousands of Russian-speaking immigrants and the largest population of Ukrainians in the United States. Owner Bobby Rockman is Russian. He says as the sound of chaos and bombs pierce the streets of his customers' native country, his store has never been more calm.
It's kind of more peaceful right now, you know. The whole community is basically coming together.
For many customers, looking up and seeing the hollowed-out metal framing of where the sign once proudly stood has made them even more proud.
The Russia, Ukraine, in the United States, we're all together. And we don't want to fight. We don't want to feel everybody guilty. And we stick together.
Since the start of the war, Ukrainian Philip Borovsky finds himself craving the taste of home more often.
Part of you wants to go back to help out. It's sad, it's hard. You grow up there. you just spraying every day.
Bobby says the decision to take the sign down is all part of his commitment to serve everyone who steps in his store.
This gentleman just passed by and said, thank you very much that the owners took down the sign.
It must make you feel nice.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Bobby says the permanent change will be made later this week and that the new name will be something symbolic and indicative of how he feels about the war. In Brighton Beach, Jessica Easthope, Currents News.
The Knights of Columbus in Ukraine, Poland, and the United States have launched an unprecedented humanitarian support mission for those trying to leave the war-torn country.
My, jako rycerze Kolumba, chcemy być tym pomostem łączącym tych, którzy mogą pomóc, a tymi, którzy tej pomocy potrzebują.
So far, the strong right arm of the church has raised more than $3 million for the refugees, but their action is more than monetary. On the ground, there's a shuttle manned by volunteers from the Knights going from eastern Poland into western Ukraine, and along with it, food, medical supplies, and clothing. The Knights have also started a mercy center on the Polish side where refugees can not only get necessary supplies, but a place to stay until Polish friends or family can meet them. If you want to help the Knights or find another organization that's working to alleviate pain and suffering, just go to thetablet.org/where to give to help Ukraine. We've compiled a list of reputable charities working on the ground. In New York, a neighbor of a Queens church helped to prevent a robbery. A man was caught on camera trying to steal the Blessed Mother statue outside of St. Gerard Majella Church in Hollis. The suspect entered the gate Sunday, lifted the statue over his shoulder, and left. Moments later, he threw the statue back into the garden after being spotted by that neighbor. Cops are investigating. And it's not the first time this church was targeted. In 2019, the same vandal struck there 3 different times, causing $12,000 in damages. She tore down a church sign, destroyed 20 marble rosary stations, ripped out part of the church's sprinkler system, and tried to knock over the Blessed Mother statue. That vandal was arrested and charged with criminal mischief. Help is on the way for seniors in the Brooklyn Diocese struggling with paying rent. The social services arm of Catholic Charities Brooklyn and Queens is getting a $250,000 grant from TD Bank. Some of the money will go to help tenants who have fallen behind on rent because of the pandemic. It will also assist tenants with related issues that impact health and quality of life. Federal authorities are investigating after a large boat filled with hundreds of Haitian migrants ran aground in Florida Sunday. As Bobeth Yates reports, U.S. Border Patrol believes it was part of a human smuggling operation.
158 Haitian migrants attempted to swim to shore and were quickly rescued by many of our law enforcement partners.
Adam Hoffner with U.S. Customs and Border Patrol is describing the scene Sunday when a boat filled with migrants came ashore near Ocean Reef in Key Largo.
We do suspect that it may be a smuggling operation that did depart from Haiti. And our concern right now initially is just the safety of all the migrants.
But Hoffner says the 158 migrants that attempted to swim ashore is only half of the problem because the boat had about 350 people on it. Among that group, men, women, and children. And many of them were still on board late Sunday night. 200
migrants are still on board the actual vessel. Approximately 150 of them have already been transferred to a U.S. Coast Guard cutter for their safety. Due to the increasing sea state and poor conditions, the Coast Guard's concern right now is the safety of the migrants and getting them off that vessel.
Officials worked through the night to accomplish that mission, and they say they're using this situation as a precautionary tale.
Fortunately, there were no injuries or fatalities in this event, but the smugglers who send these vessels, if you saw the images of the vessel overloaded severely with 350 migrants, all of their lives were at risk during this journey.
Again, that was Bobeth Yates reporting. The head of the Archdiocese of Miami, Archbishop Thomas Wensky, spoke to Currents News about the Haitian migrants and why so many immigrants choose to make the treacherous journey.
Many of them would tell you the Haitian proverb, dans le cœur pitou se passe la misère, which translated means the teeth of the shark are sweeter than misery. And the misery of Haiti in recent months has increased exponentially, partly because of the ongoing pandemic, the absence of government. We had in July a severe earthquake, a continuing economic crisis, there's no surprise why people would come.
Among the things the church is doing to help the migrants, Archbishop Wenski says about 32 lawyers are currently working full-time in the Archdiocese of Miami to provide low-cost or free immigration services to about 1,200 people every month. There's a lot more news headed your way. Is blood flowing from this statue of St. Michael because of what's happening in Ukraine? The church is on the case. And this.
We're here at the border crossing of Krashenko.
Why a mayor from New Jersey traveled to the border in Poland to help Ukrainian families fleeing for safety. And he's on a mission for peace, playing the piano as refugees cross into an unknown future.
There are now some big changes to the tablet website. You can get personalized access to the Catholic news you value. Sign up for free at thetablet.org.
Thank you.
Hey, give me a fist bump. Pop, pop.
Давай, кулачок, дядя.
Boop, boop.
Putting smiles on the faces of children who were forced to flee the war in Ukraine. That's what a New Jersey mayor is doing right now at the Ukrainian border in Poland. Point Pleasant Beach Mayor Paul Kanitra flew there last week, and he joins us now. And Mayor, tell us what prompted your decision to go to Poland?
So Point Pleasant Beach, my town, has a very special connection to the Ukrainian people. Everybody knows Point Pleasant Beach for our great boardwalk and our beaches. Our attractions, our rides. Well, young Ukrainian adults have been coming for years to enjoy the summer in Point Pleasant Beach and to help our economy moving forward by operating those. And during that time period, they've kind of forged some really strong bonds with our residents and their children that have lasted a lifetime. In fact, in Point Pleasant Beach, we have a lot of people who have gone to the Ukraine, to some of these small villages, just to see the friends that they made during their summers here.
Wonderful. Describe for us what's going on where you are right now. I see it looks like tables behind you. What are you seeing and hearing while you're there?
So we're at the main refugee center here in Przemyśl. Przemyśl is about 10 kilometers from the actual border crossing at Medyka, where we were giving out hot meals last night. The way it works is everybody comes across the border in Medyka, and it's a tale of two worlds, to be honest. Although everybody's coming from very difficult times, about 60%, maybe 70% of the people crossing the border have somebody waiting for them. They come through one area. There's hugs, there's tearful reunions, but then the other side of the border crossing, everybody walks through and gets staged in a line for the buses that are waiting to pick them up there. And all the buses at Medyka wind up here at Przemyśl. You'll probably see while we're talking here, some of them coming to the blue building in the background. That blue building is the refugee center. It's an abandoned Tesco supercenter, basically like a Walmart, with a lot of little tiny pop-up stores on the inside. All those stores are now vacant, and they're housing thousands of refugees in there. Above every room is a spray-painted number. It corresponds with the city that they want to go to in Poland, Estonia, and a couple other countries. They wait there for 3 to 4 hours, and then hopefully they get out and they get moved on to another area where there's more humanitarian aid and more options available to them.
Wow, and I could cry looking at the video we just showed of that little boy with the toy. Tell us about the refugees you've been meeting. How are they physically, emotionally? What are they saying to you?
The thing that touched on our heartstrings the most were the orphans in this situation. My friend Greg and I, who was my best friend, who came over with me and who's holding the camera right now, we were at the border crossing in Krashenko a few days ago, and a bus came across, and there were 30 to 40 young kids on there, and there were only 3 to 4 adults. And we knew something was amiss, and we went over and we talked to them, and it was explained to us, the way that it was translated to us was they have no families, they have no one. And that's what it was told to us. So, we tried to give them everything in our pockets. They would only take a very little amount of money. And we asked, we tried to do some more research on, who was helping them and where they were going.
I know everybody's always thinking, what can I do? What can I do to help? So what would you say is needed most right now?
So as a good Catholic boy, I will tell you, there's a Catholic charity here in Poland called Caritas, Caritas. They've already committed to taking in 2,000 Ukrainian refugees, orphans, all of them, and helping to relocate them in Poland. I would strongly encourage anybody watching to donate even $5 to that cause to help these kids. If people are looking to do something on the food front, World Central Kitchen, we donated some money ourselves, and we volunteered. We helped prepare some food in their warehouse. We helped give out food on the border. They're a great charity as well. And the Polish Red Cross has been doing a lot of medical needs and taking care of boots on the ground. It's a ragtag operation. I mean, as you can see, it's just volunteers from all over the world who've kind of jumped in, set up tents, and are just working and just figuring it out as they go. And even though it may seem helpless, it may feel helpless to, be sitting there in the United States in the warmth of your home and feeling like, how can I help? A couple dollars goes a long way to make a difference in somebody's life.
It certainly does, and thank you for all the work that you're doing and spending your time to do this. Paul Canitra, Mayor of Point Pleasant Beach, New Jersey, thanks for joining us, and stay safe.
Thanks for having us. We appreciate it.
For more information on organizations Paul mentioned, plus others who are trying to help the people of Ukraine, once again, you can go to thetablet.org/where-to-give to help Ukraine. Is a statue of St. Michael bleeding because of what's happening in Ukraine? Just hours before Russia invaded Ukraine last month, a Colorado woman says her statue of St. Michael the Archangel, the patron saint of Kyiv, began to bleed. Alicia Martinez says it's inexplicable. She says he's not crying, but what appears to be blood is coming from his forehead and passes around his eyes. A spokesperson for the Archdiocese of Denver says they are aware of the claim and will investigate. The two top cardinals Pope Francis sent to Ukraine are already on the ground with refugees. Cardinal Konrad Krajewski, who's in charge of distributing money to church institutions, met with Caritas Lublin in Poland on Monday. The cardinal traveled to the major border crossings along the Poland-Ukraine border, meeting with refugees and volunteers. One of those stops included a train station where Mayor Kanitra is, Przemyśl. The 150-year-old station is the main hub for people escaping by railway. 5 to 10 trains leave each day with around 2,000 women and children. Cardinal Krajewski watched the volunteers and employees there work and offered blessings to those who needed it. This as Cardinal Michael Czerny arrived to Hungary Tuesday to talk to refugees on behalf of the Holy Father. He went to the Keleti station in Budapest, where Caritas and the Order of Malta assist around 2,500 people a day. Ahead of his journey, the Cardinal had this to say about his mission. I hope to be able to bring some material help, but I go above all to meet people, to be with them. This is the prophecy of a presence and a closeness that may appear weak, even insignificant, according to the logic of the world and the force of arms. However, this is not the case. Being close to his people, to his children who suffer, is the way that God has chosen to enter into the history of the world, even at the cost of ending up on the cross. 2 million people have now fled Ukraine since the Russian invasion, and as many as half of them have crossed into Poland. But at the very worst moment in the lives of these refugees, a German musician is offering them a kind welcome. Sarah Sidner introduces us to the Piano Man for Peace.
As the world's newest war refugees step into Poland from Ukraine, they arrive to an unexpected sound. A man at the Medica-Poland border crossing playing his heart out just for them.
I'm just trying to welcome all the refugees, and I know that all those people, they're here bombing, guns shooting, cannons and whatever.
Davide Martello traveled from Germany.
The peace is starting right here.
A piano man for peace.
I have a trailer, and I just drove like 17 hours straight. I turned the music very loud so they can hear me everywhere. That is my purpose.
Your purpose here is to bring peace through music.
Yeah, that's my message, just peace through music.
And the message is received. This is another stop on the Piano Man's Peace Tour.
Taksim Square, 2014, and Ukraine too, Donetsk, Afghanistan with the army, Bataclan, Charlie Hebdo.
I know one place that you've been because I saw you there.
Minneapolis, 2 years ago.
Sure enough, in 2020, after the police murder of George Floyd, there he was, with his piano healing hearts at George Floyd Square.
Music is the perfect medium to restore peace, I think.
Nearly 2 years later and 5,000 miles away, he plays for the newly heartbroken in Medyka, Poland. His next stop, Lviv, Ukraine.
Oh, beautiful. That was Sarah Sidner reporting from the Poland-Ukrainian border. Still to come on Currents News.
I've been baptized here, I've been led to Christ from here, and I think it was all God's plan.
He's part of the Church of Dirt. It's a unique way to bring people closer to Christ. We've got that story. Plus, it's Back to the Future, reimagining masterpieces with today's technology. We'll show you how it's being done. Do you have a story idea or want to share a tip? Email us at newstips@desalesmedia.org or call our 24-hour number, 718-517-3122. We'll be right back. They come for the thrill of adventure and end up having a spiritual experience. This is the Church of Dirt, a Virginia Baptist church trying to reach people in a non-typical way, using dirt bike racing to connect in faith. The Church of Dirt has its own track where hundreds gather at least twice a week. They say their dirt bike lessons have led to lessons about life.
It's really changed my life. I've been baptized here, I've been led to Christ from here, and I think it was all God's plan.
The Church of Dirt plans to expand their mission nationally. They want to go to racetracks across the country to share their faith with others. Leonardo da Vinci shared his faith through his artwork, and a new exhibit reimagines what his art would look like today. He's known for creating masterpieces such as the Mona Lisa and the Last Supper, and now we can see them in a different light, even through his own eyes. A new interactive exhibit called Genius asks what Leonardo da Vinci's artwork would look like if made with the technology of today.
If he was alive today and had the technological means that we have as designers, then how would he be painting? What would the brushstroke look like?
Genius will tour through Europe before eventually arriving in the U.S. Gonna have to check that out. And that is Currents News. I'm Christine Persichetti. Thank you for joining us because we are putting your faith in the news. Hope to see you again next time.